I thought I had parenting figured out, until one email proved I knew nothing at all. I thought I understood my world, my son, my routines, my limits. But then came a semester slipping through my fingers, a young man struggling in ways I didn't see, and a lecturer whose presence unsettled every certainty I lived by. What began as a parent-teacher meeting turned into a quiet reshaping of our lives. One conversation, one admission, one unexpected connection at a time. This is the story of how falling apart became the start of falling into something true. Numbers have always behaved better than people. They balance, they align, they tell the truth. People skip deadlines, stop communicating, and give vague excuses about creative blocks. Like my 20-year-old son, Liam Carter, who had suddenly stopped submitting coursework at the prestigious New England School of Art and Design, one of the top fine arts colleges in the US. I'm Ethan Carter, 40 years old, investment banker, single dad for 17 of those years, and a lifelong believer in spreadsheets over chaos. Which is why I nearly dropped my coffee when I read the email. Your son has missed 3 major assignments. Please schedule a meeting. Signed, Adrian Blake, lecturer in visual concepts. I'd heard the name whispered before. A rising star, a meticulous critic, brilliant, intense. When I confronted Liam about the missing work, he muttered something about rethinking artistic direction and pressure, while avoiding eye contact like he was hiding a stolen puppy behind him. My single-parent radar lit up like a Christmas tree. Something was wrong, so I made the appointment. Adrian Blake's office smelled like cedar, ink, and expensive paint. Aesthetic chaos. Bright canvases leaned against exposed brick. Books stacked in precarious towers. A pottery wheel, a drying rack, a giant ficus tree that probably had its own personality. Then Adrian stood, and suddenly I forgot how to speak. Early 30s. Tall, dark blonde hair tied back. Sharp jaw, artistic hands stained in graphite and acrylic. Eyes a clear, cutting blue that made you feel seen, fully, uncomfortably seen. My heart did something undignified. I blamed the draft. "Mr. Carter," he said, shaking my hand with fingers warm from clay. We sat. He dove straight in. "Your son is one of the best young artists I've taught, but brilliance doesn't excuse negligence. Liam hasn't submitted a single major assignment this semester." My protective instincts flared. Is he struggling? Being pushed too hard? Is someone discouraging him? Adrian raised an eyebrow. "No, he's distracted." "By what?" "I don't know," he said, folding his arms, "but it's affecting the quality of his work." Something inside me tightened. Fear, frustration, helplessness. "I'm doing my best as a single father," I snapped before thinking. If something was wrong, I would have noticed. Adrian's expression softened, the harsh lines easing. "I wasn't accusing you. I'm just concerned." But I was already defensive. "Maybe if you weren't so focused on failing him." He cut in, jaw tightening. "Maybe if you weren't projecting, you'd see that I'm the only one trying to help him before he derails." The air went cold, silent, sharp. And that's when, of course, Liam walked in. "You guys look like you're about to duel," he said. "Are we okay?" "We're discussing your academic performance," I said stiffly. "Productively," Adrian added, though we both knew we were lying. Liam glanced between us, then smirked. That smirk. Like he knew something we didn't. A suspicion bloomed in my mind. Absurd, impossible. But the look in his eyes lingered. A week later, I attended Liam's showcase. He insisted. I told myself it wasn't because I hoped to see Adrian again. Lies. All lies. I found Adrian walking through a maze of student projects, correcting strokes, offering critiques that felt like poetry. He saw art the way I saw financial markets, systems of emotion, pattern, tension. He noticed me and approached. "About our last meeting," he said. "We could have handled it better." "I'm sorry," I admitted. "I get defensive about Liam. It's instinct." "I get defensive about my students," he replied. "It comes from caring too much and sleeping too little." We both smiled. A crack in the ice. Then we talked, really talked, about art, about structure, about his past, strict parents who wanted him in pre-med, not art school. About my past, losing my wife young, raising Liam alone, surviving on caffeine and financial models. He liked chess, so did I. He hated cilantro, so did I. He collected vinyls, I had a neglected turntable. We kept drifting closer, physically, emotionally. "You're easier to talk to than I expected," he murmured. "Same," I admitted. And when our fingers brushed while reaching for the same program booklet, neither of us pulled away. It began innocently. Coffee after campus meetings. Long conversations about color theory and investment risk models. Walks through Beacon Hill. Sharing playlists. Sending memes late at night. Neither of us called them dates, but the tension simmered. One evening outside his apartment, he stepped close. Close enough that I could smell paint and mint gum. Close enough his breath touched my skin. He hesitated. "Is this okay?" I answered by kissing him. Carefully, slowly, with 17 years of loneliness tucked behind my ribs. He kissed back like he'd been waiting. Dating Adrian felt like rediscovering a part of myself I had buried. A softness, a hunger, a vulnerability I didn't know I still had. Nights together, afternoons stolen between classes and client meetings. Art fairs, arguments that ended with laughter on the couch. Liam seemed suspiciously happy for someone with heavy coursework. One Tuesday, he sniffed the air and said, "You smell like oil paint." I glared at him. He grinned like the devil. This kid, he knew something. I just didn't know how much. It happened one Sunday morning. Pancakes, coffee, sunlight through the kitchen window. Adrian had spent the night. Liam knew, pretended he didn't, and made enough pancakes for an army. I watched Adrian leaning against the counter, hair loose, wearing my t-shirt. Something in me settled. Warm, sure. So I turned to Liam. "Hypothetically," I said, clearing my throat, "how would you feel if Adrian moved in?" Liam didn't blink, didn't gasp, didn't ask questions. He simply said, "Finally? You plan this?" "Dad," he said slowly, "you looked like you were about to die of boredom before you met Adrian. And Adrian looked like he needed someone who actually eats meals." I stared at him. "You set me up with your lecturer?" He shrugged. "Either I get good grades, or I get a cool stepdad. Win-win." Adrian nearly dropped the bowl he was holding. I covered my face with my hands. "You're grounded," I muttered. He patted my shoulder. "Too old for that." Damn it. But beneath the embarrassment was something far deeper, gratitude. My son wanted me happy, and he trusted Adrian with that happiness. I couldn't argue with that. Adrian moved in a month later. No big announcement. Just the key on the table. "If," he said softly, "you're still sure." I was sure. Life shifted gently. Adrian made Liam's breakfast before morning classes. I helped Adrian organize his chaotic art supplies, or tried to. We fought over the thermostat, shared the same couch blanket, went to Liam's presentations together. Adrian started biking Liam to campus every morning. I left for the firm with a kiss to Adrian's forehead. Dinner became a three-person ritual. Teasing, storytelling, warmth. Our house, once quiet, was now filled with music, laughter, the smell of coffee and acrylic. One morning on the porch, coffee steaming in our hands, I watched Adrian wave goodbye to Liam. "You're good at this," I murmured. "At what?" he asked. "Family." He smiled, eyes soft. "You make it easy." And for the first time in years, I believed it. We weren't perfect. We were traditional. But we were ours. A banker, an artist, a son who played matchmaker. And somehow, unbelievably, we fit. I still work with numbers. Still trust patterns. still believe structure matters. But I've learned something spreadsheets never taught me. Some things don't add up, they arrive. Love doesn't announce itself with certainty. Family doesn't always come from intention. And falling isn't failure, it's movement. I watch Adrian help William load his bike in the mornings. I kiss him goodbye before heading to work. I come home to noise, color, warmth. Once I thought stability meant standing still. Now I know better. Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is let himself fall and trust that, somehow, he won't hit the ground. If you liked what you just listened to, please do like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until the next time, happy listening.